Hello and welcome to Goodwood, aka Car Nerd Mecca. Now tomorrow is day one of the Festival of Speed, the biggest and greatest car show on earth, except for fully charged outside, of course. But today, we're just around the corner at the Goodwood Motor Circuit, and as you can tell from all these handsome Swedes next to me, the cars, not the mechanics that is, we're here for a Polestar event. They've invited us to come and have a very early sneak peek at the Precept, their all-new model, before it goes on display at the festival tomorrow. And there's more, because also here today is a super secret, never before seen, never before even teased Polestar prototype car. This is Goodwood. This is a very excited boy, and this is fully charged.
Yes, it's the Great EV Giveaway. Don't forget to subscribe and enter for your chance to win all sorts of prizes, including one of 4 electric cars.
Well, here it is for the very first time in the UK, the Polestar Precept. Wow, what a thing, what a thing. It looks spectacular. I mean, it looks great in the pictures, but there are some lines and some design cues on this thing that you have to get up close to really appreciate. Now, this is a very early sneak peek at this car. It's going to go on display at Goodwood tomorrow. It's going to be absolutely mobbed by people. So Polestar are very kindly giving us a little bit of time just to walk you around it today before the crowds arrive. We don't have very long, so this is going to be a bit rough around the edges, but let's just go with it. What do you need to know about this thing? Well, it was revealed as a concept car first. It was supposed to be unveiled at last year's Geneva Motor Show, so instead it was unveiled on the interwebs, and the reception for it was so positive, it got so much fanfare that shortly after that Polestar were like, you know what, we're going to build it. It's not a concept car anymore. Well, it is, but they're actually going to make it quite soon. And we just had a presentation from Polestar's head of design who has told us that what we see here, at least on the exterior, is pretty close to what the final car is going to look like. This is going to be a production car. You're going to see this thing on the road not too long from now. It's an unbelievable piece of design. So, first impression, quite big. I think it's more Model S size than Model 3, and it's targeting the same sort of audience. This is going to be a high-end, sporty, luxurious family car. And not an SUV. Yes, not an SUV. It's a sedan, a saloon. It's low to the ground, as cars should be. Now, let's have a little walk around of some of the elements on this car, because there is plenty to see. Polestar have said that the 3 pillars around which this car and all Polestars are focused is design, technology, and sustainability. And we're going to see plenty of all of those things with this car. So, beginning at the front, wow. It's quite a striking thing. It looks incredibly sporty for such a big, luxurious car. Clearly very performance focused as well as an emphasis on luxury. Really big fan of this headlight design. So there's something quite significant about this. You know the Thor's hammer design that we see on all Volvos and Polestars previous? It's a sort of T-shape. Well, look, it's split into 2. And this is symbolic of Polestar splitting away from Volvo with their design language. Volvos and Polestars, they're still going to look a bit similar, but in the future, Polestar's kind of going to do its own thing. And this is the beginning of that. We've got something called the Smart Zone down here. This is where lots of sensors and cameras are housed for various safety features and adaptive cruise control and self-driving, most likely, down the line. Speaking of which, LiDAR box up here, even more sensors. This car can see everything. This is quite interesting. This is something I didn't notice until I got up close with it. There's an air duct here in the front. So the air comes up underneath there, sweeps over the bonnet, and I'm guessing that reduces the coefficients, the drag coefficient of the car, makes it more slippery, increases range, probably increases top speed as well, maybe. And then another thing I'm really liking, and we're going to see this a lot on this car, this material down here, at first glance you think carbon fibre. No, Flax fibre. There is no chrome, no leather, no wood, no unsustainable materials anywhere on this car. And this special flax material serves the same purpose as carbon fibre, very light, very stiff, but it's made from plants and stuff, so it's kind to the planet. Big fan of that. Come along around the side, Now, 22-inch wheels. We won't see those in the production car because concept cars always get big wheels and then they go smaller for production so that your back doesn't break every time you go over a speed bump. But look at the fantastic design. I really hope that this design makes it to production. Center locking wheel caps, a bit motorsporty as well. Camera wing mirrors, we've seen these before on the Honda E and the Audi e-tron. They're good when they work, they're rubbish when they don't. Will they make it to production? Not entirely sure, but they're a lovely design. I mean, they just really add to the kind of sleek and slippery silhouette of this thing. More flax down here, plenty of flax. Flax central, and then just get a load of this rear crease. Polestar may have to soften some of these lines for safety reasons, because if a child walked headfirst into that, they would be decapitated. It is a razor sharp line, and just in general, the design of this thing is so angular. It's such a purposeful and aggressive looking car. And then around the back, I mean, my goodness, is this the best looking angle of this car? I'm not sure I could pick, but this might just be the one. A phenomenal, huge rear light bar that sort of outlines this incredibly squared off rear end. I think the Polestar 2 has one of the best bums in the world. When you see one on the road with that beautiful light bar, this is the same thing dialed up to 11. It is a phenomenal piece of design. No rear windscreen. It's sort of just a sunroof that angles all the way back, and we've got a camera rear view mirror in the middle there, so don't worry, you will be able to see behind you. But just such an interesting and unusual looking rear end. The design of this thing is phenomenal, and to hear the head designer say that this is mostly production ready, at least on the exterior, I can't wait to see one of these on the road. One more detail that I've just picked out on the outside here before we go inside. Come here, come close, come close, come close. See this? This is a charging status LED light. So when the car's plugged in, the light will, you know, show your state of charge. Will it make production? Absolutely not. Is it cool? Yes. Will never make production, but oh, that was so cool. Welcome to the inside of the Polestar Precept. I promised I wouldn't sit in it because this is literally one of a kind. There are only two Precepts in existence right now. One is just a shell and the other has an interior, and this is that one. Now, you remember earlier I said the big focuses on this car are design, technology, sustainability. The design one, I mean, you can see that for yourself. The thing is remarkable looking. The sustainability and the technology, a lot of that can be found in here. So, big portrait touchscreen to serve the infotainment system, very familiar to anyone who's sat in a Polestar 2. I think the Polestar 2 has maybe the best infotainment system in the game. Uses Android software and it's just unbelievably intuitive. But with the Precept, Polestar is planning on taking that to another level, and they want to make using a big screen while driving safer, because it can be quite distracting. So a couple ways they're going to do that is with eye tracking, so the screen knows when you're not looking at it and it automatically dims so that it's less distracting in your peripheral vision. As soon as you look at the screen, it lights up and jumps into life. Likewise, it can sense your hands. So the screen will look quite simple, quite minimalist for the most part, but as you reach out to touch it, the icons will expand, they'll become bigger and easier to hit, and you'll get more detail. These are just some really thoughtful little user interface design tweaks designed to make using a car more intuitive, simpler, and crucially safer. And we've got to talk about the use of materials in here, because as I said before, in a big, expensive luxury car, you expect the leather, the wood, the chrome. These are the materials that we associate with opulence. Well, Polestar says we don't need those to make a car that feels very, very special. We're going to use recycled bottles. And they have done, and it looks spectacular. This material here, this is made from flax. This is a renewable material. It's super stiff. It's super lightweight as well. And the way that they've worked it in with this sort of backlights, it looks astonishing. I've never seen a cabin quite like it. Likewise, the material used for the seats is a 3D knit. This is an industry first. and it's made from plastic bottles. You wouldn't think that touching it, it's ever so soft, and it looks beautiful, but it's just incredible to see such a high-end car completely reject all those conventional premium materials that we associate with really big posh cars and take a completely different approach. To make sustainable materials look so premium is a hell of an achievement from Polestar, and I hope to see much of this in the production version of this car. That was the Polestar Precept. What a spectacular looking thing. I still can't believe that this is actually going into production. I cannot wait to actually have a go in one of these once there is one to have a go in. Very, very, very special car. We didn't get very much time with this, so I'm sorry that the video is a little bit rough around the edges, but I think you'll agree it's worth it to get an early look at this phenomenal concept car. Now, we're gonna head out onto the track in a super secret Polestar prototype car that has never even been teased before. I don't know what it is. Let's go find out. Oh, that's the extra horsepower.
Yeah, you can feel that.
Oh, that's some braking. Oh. Right, welcome to a little piece of juicy bonus content. This is Polestar's present to itself. This is a one-off commission built specifically for the Festival of Speed. Now here's something you might not know about Polestar. Before it was Volvo's spin-off electric brand, it was Volvo's motorsport division. And there's still a few people knocking around the engineering department from those motorsport days, including a very nice Swedish chap called Joachim, who just took me out for a lap. He can drive. I'm quite glad I didn't have lunch before we went out on track. And really, what he's done here is go into his toy box and have some fun. So what we have is an experimental Polestar 2 with some motorsport bits. So what have we got? Well, visually, a few changes. We've got a different splitter at the front and rear. We've got a lovely body-coloured grille at the front, which really transforms the look of the car. Love the way that looks. In terms of performance pieces, well, where to begin? Ultra special Öhlins dampers. The Polestar 2 Performance already has some very trick dampers. These are even fancier. The car is 80% stiffer at the front and 40% stiffer at the rear than a Polestar 2 Performance comes out of the box. We've got the wheels, tyres and brakes from a Polestar 1. Look at the size of these wheels, and you can tell that the wheels have been spaced out a little bit. It's got a wider track than the standard Polestar as well. Oh, and for good measure, an extra 50 kilowatts of power, which equates to about 70 extra horsepower. It's in the high 400s now. And there we have it, a very special look at the very, very special Polestar Precept, and just for good measure, a one-off, ultra-fast, very special Polestar 2. Not a bad day, this. Now, do make sure that you're subscribed, because very soon we'll be posting our roundup of all the other cool electric stuff on display at this year's Festival of Speed, and there is a lot of it. So make sure you're subscribed, make sure to like, and if you have been, thank you for watching.